right, guys, AFC Shakedown, first time on my channel for the year 2024 season. I wish I had better feelings about my team going into this thing, but I'm sure other people here can share those sentiments. Two of us are happy, two of us are not so happy, but I hope everybody's going to be excited for some good football. I do think that there's a lot of great games this week. So anyway, this is see my man Tommy, Mafia Sports Report. You guys know him, been around forever with the Buffalo Bills. Anthony's the Jets guy. He got the happy cat just ate the bird smile. And Zach over there, he's kind of like me with the puss on his face. He's covering the Patriots. So hope everybody's doing well. We're going to take care of last week's business in the AFC East and this week's business Thursday night, and then the business that's coming up on Sunday. So Tommy is going to be the man to run the show. I'm a little bit under weather, old man blues. I guess I missed my Geritol this morning. I don't know. So Tommy, you're the master at this thing. Let it rock and roll. Where are we starting, Tommy? Because
let's kick it
off.
I'm
seeing triple on everybody. I see 24 people, I think, or 12 people in so far right here on this.
All right. What is up? We're in ace per head today. We're in the Dolphins dungeon. But, man, a lot of Dolphin fans out there not happy. Curtis, let's start with you. First of all, thank you, everyone, for joining us today on another AFC Shakedown. And, of course, Anthony, Zach, thank you again for joining us. Capn D is celebrating his birthday today. He's in Key West. That's why he's not joining us. And next week we may have Ben on in place of Zach, who is what are you doing next weekend, Zach? What's your
football game for my high school. Yeah, it's on Saturday, unfortunately, so.
Okay, that's all right. Hey, it is what it is. Football, man. Got to get out there. So anyways, let's get this thing started. So, Curtis, you weren't on with us last week because you were at the Dolphin game. You traveled.
Hey, man. Cosa Nostra, you know I'm the Dolphin representation. What's going on here?
You traveled all the way from Panama City, sorry, the country, to Miami. You had a nice hotel. You were living like a king. Talking about living like a king.
Sweet.
You were like,
it was sweet.
Yeah.
It was a good time. My wife, she hasn't watched the Dolphins game since 2007, the 1-15 season. She said, I've had enough. But she had a great time. She liked Miami so much and the stadium too, and just everything like that. I've been saying a couple of times, I've never been to a Dolphins home game. You can't tell. Oh, man, what am I supposed to do? Tell us we're going to the Super Bowl, Cosa Nostra? I mean, what am I supposed to do here? Lie to you?
Or something.
I'm sorry. I don't have Stockholm Syndrome for my team. I just try to be accurate, which I pretty much usually am.
I can't tell. Well, he is not in his regular studio. Normally he has a little Dolphins thing in the back there. But no, Curtis is a Dolphin guy.
I had to take my kids to go. They wanted to see their friends, and I had to do this on the road. So I'm sorry if I don't have my Dolphin paraphernalia back there, Cosa Nostra. I'll work on it.
Right.
You get a Dolphins headband or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Dolphins headband. Right. So Curtis. So you had it as far as the trip went. That was great, right? You give it an A+, right? But the game itself. Talk to us about being there, what you saw, what you like, what you didn't like from your Miami Dolphins.
Well, the thing is, it's an unbelievable feeling. The stadium is totally insane. I never thought it was going to be that awesome. I didn't know the Dolphins fans. I've been an evaluator for years. I mean, the last emotional feel I had for a game was the Ravens lost in 2009. And then from that point, I just really been taking it as an evaluator. I feel on Sunday, I get all excited, but then, I don't really get a 2 up, 2 down because I'm trying to evaluate the game. But all the fans there, the way they were dressed up, the rah-rah, I really was so invested. But I'm sitting there, I had great seats, third row, atop, right in the middle on the 49-yard line, 50-yard line, and you could see everything. And unfortunately, my evaluation was that defenses know how to play us. They play high leverage in the box. They play nickel defenses, pass all day, and they cover the edges and they cover the deep, and you could see it so clearly. And there was points where you felt like, oh, okay, something could come here. But I just kept looking at the defense, and the Bills never bent. To me, I got really nervous. It was 3rd and 1. and they didn't even come to the line of scrimmage. And I said, until we break this thing. Oh, Rick, man, very nice. There's my man, Rick. Thank you, Rick, brother. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It's very kind, man. But it was kind of like we made all these pop plays, and it was like the guy dancing, ready to make strikes, but you just could feel the Bills, the way they played defense and the way they were on offense, and they were working inside, outside. It was like a big boa constrictor just slowly wrapping around us. And I just, obviously you had the deflection, the ball hits the receiver and it bouncing in interception, but it was more than that. It was just, you could feel that you guys knew what we were going to do, and we couldn't break it. And my wife I remember my wife looking at me. She's like, "What's wrong with your team? They're not physical. They're not punching anybody. Like, she's not hitting anybody. Like, she didn't know how to express it, but she could see it. But it was a great experience, but it was as ugly a game as you could get, especially Tua getting injured. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And then when I left, to see all the fans, I was down. I hadn't screamed, "You idiot, kill the bum!" Like, I hadn't said stuff like that in 10 years. And my wife was invested, and just to see the fans so down, it just sucks, And I'm hoping that my evals are wrong for the rest of the season, but it's really disconcerting. I mean, it couldn't got any worse. Tehran got injured. Robert Jones, the only physical offensive lineman, he got injured. And then Tua got injured. So it kind of sucks.
So going off that, Curtis, the Tua injuries, right? So I didn't really get to talk to you much about that because you've been kind of busy since you got back to Panama. So,
yeah.
What's your thoughts on Tua? Do you agree with him coming back? Do you want him to come back, or is this something that, hey, he's a football player he's going to make his own decision, and you're just going to roll with that? It is what it is.
You look at this whole offense, it's bait, and people want to knock Tua. If you don't throw the football, we threw 75% of our passes at 1.87 seconds. Just to register that, Pro Football Focus has true pass set grades. They don't start till 2 seconds. And this is 0.13 seconds before that. That's like a dog's year in throwing the football. So without Tua, man, it is going to be very, very – this whole offense with Hill and Waddle and no offensive line, it's all designed around him. So you're going to have to find a guy who could process like Brady, or a guy who can throw with the release anticipation of Tua. If he doesn't come back, then you got to restart. And you got investments in Chubb and Tehran and Ramsey and Fuller and – it would be a whole reboot. I think, look, I want the kid to be healthy, and he clearly has concussion issues, but we're not treating him right. He shouldn't be he should be smarter. He should even Allen. I saw him. It's so different when you're watching it live. He dropped. I'd never seen him drop like that. He dropped 2 yards before contact.
The only run he did. But I'm gonna. So here's what I'll counter with that. I get where you're going with. He needs to be smarter, especially when he takes off. I understand. I'm with you there, but at the same time, it's live action, right? A lot of these guys, they know they should do it, but in their head, they're a football player. They're trying to get the extra yards. They're trying to be. It's a tough sport. That's one. Two. Listen, he's going to get hit again, right? Regardless if he's taking off, in the pocket, late hit, or a good hit, this is football. He's going to get hit again. So my thing is, man, I don't think it's so much of concussions. I think almost every NFL player suffers concussions, college. But his is really different. Like, his is the fencing motions. There's something definitely happening there. Yeah. So that's the only, I would say, I get where you're going. Damn, if we get rid of Tua or he walks away, it's we're gonna start kind of over again, or we have to find the right perfect quarterback that's similar to the way Tua plays, which is tough. I get that, but man, how many more times you're gonna watch that, want to see that or that happen again? Because it's going to.
I want him to retire. I want him to retire because.
But I don't think.
No, he's not going to. He'll. I mean, for money wise,
he did it last time.
Nah.
No, he thought about it though. That was the thing I told you, Curtis. Remember week 1 we were talking about the Tua contract with me, you, Capn D. Remember I told you my number one concern if I'm a GM, your GM or fan base is not so much can he get the job done. Tua's not a bad quarterback. I agree with you, Curtis. Like I think Tua's I don't think he's, but I also I don't think he's top 5. But I think he is I think he's a good quarterback that could lead your team. However, my main concern was his health and concussions and the way he, and from the last year thinking about retirement. And then coming back was a big question mark. Now you're going to pay him, a guy that just thought about retiring. All it took was, 2 years ago. My thing too, Curtis, is like, damn, dude, like you guys, he has a special helmet made for him this year. He went to jiu-jitsu class. He's doing all the right things he thinks he can do to prevent a concussion, and it's still not. It's not working because clearly something's going on there. He's taking too many hits, or he's just. I don't know. Like, what else can they do, Curtis? Like, is it just him retiring? Is that
no,
the
I think
ultimate
there's
answer?
Loads of things they can do. Some of it's his and some of it's not. But since Rick gave us a little bit of a tip over here, I got to answer him. Yeah, we talked about it. It's not an uncommon hit, and he responded very poorly to it. But it looked bad with the hand coming out, like it was ugly. Yeah. And I think.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't even a devastating hit.
No.
It was more just.
Just as an example, like, I played football. I've been hit in the head with baseball bats. I fell off a 2-story building drunk, and I landed headfirst on the concrete, and I got like a full blackout concussion. But I've been hit with baseball bats, and I didn't black out. I didn't have any of that. Some people are designed. Maybe I'm dumb.
Yes. I agree with that too.
But I could take hits in the head like nobody's business. I'm feeling some of it now, but that was nothing. So that is concerning. And I know Rick said, yeah, I do think he hears footsteps, but it's not. I don't think it's so much not justified. This blocking, like you look at the one play he had where he threw the football, the first interception. And it's like, I think it's around 2.07 seconds. Eichenberg's beat by Oliver, and Oliver's hand is like a half a beat from getting the sack. And he had to step up and twist his body. And the ball was still delivered great, a little behind, but he had to get out of his throwing platform. So I think it's just, they should have built this thing very, very different. If they had built a better offensive line with more balanced running approach, they worked the play actions that have been having to throw spots in so quickly, I don't think he would have taken all these hits. I don't think he would have been this nervous. Yeah. And I think it would have changed the trajectory on his career.
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't think I just think it's going to continue. It's going to be an ongoing thing until either the NFL PA steps in, because I know the NFL really can't step in and say you can't come back for a while, or the NFL event. Like if this happens again, where it's another bad concussion fencing issue, I believe the NFL and NFL PA will have to do something, because they're trying to really push the concussion thing away. At least that part of it not make it look so egregious. Like what's going on? Like that's the problem. I think every player has a concussion. Like there's players that you don't even know have a concussion. Next thing you know, the commentator's like, "Oh, he's out with a head injury, concussion," but you didn't even see it. You didn't even know about it. Right? It happened on a play that none of us even saw, but you saw the 201 because you couldn't miss it. So I think the NFL eventually will, maybe not now, because the NFLPA can step in and if they, NFL says
I think he's going to drag it out at least till next year, and he should, because he should force Miami to cut him.
I'm with you there.
So I think if he plays again, he'll try to mitigate it, dropping, maybe not running, and then if somehow he gets another one. I think then he'll force them to cut it or go to next year when he's locked in. I think it's May he gets locked in.
Oh, okay. You know what I thought in that game too? I got to say too, early on, and you guys kind of went away from it. Like running the ball, I thought you guys did a good job, and the short screen passes or getting to the outside edge, a little pop pass, like we could not contain the outside edge in the beginning of the game at all. Like we kind of clamped that down a little bit as the game went on, but I felt like you guys went away from that early on, and you just started
away from what? I didn't hear you. I was typing. I can't type.
Running the ball. And the short yard, like little screen passes to the receivers, the little short pass, like I felt like running to the outside edge, you guys were having our number early on. We could not, like that first drive you guys did was a lot of short passes. It was nothing deep, it was nothing crazy. It was more running, more outside. We could not contain the edge. And then the second drive you guys did was right back to trying to make these like long deep passes.
The thing is, if you watch from a schematic deployment of the players, they were playing 5 technique with the edge players outside the tackles. So that's focusing on the edge. They left Oliver, who's not a notorious run stopper and smaller guy, and Daquan, who's not even back to pre-injury form, alone. And then they played everybody 5 yards deep. And you rarely saw a step to the line of scrimmage. Everybody was playing read and react to drop. And all that shell does is take care of the edge stuff and the deeps. Now, we had some success inside, but it was all this motion gap running. And it happened, but you could see it was on the verge of not happening. And so the Bills just wait for us to either have a negative play like we did the first play. We ran outside in the pitch. And it was a negative play. And then once we're off schedule, throwing into this pass defensive high leverage and still getting pressure. He blitzed only 3 times all game and still generated like a 17% pressure rate. And so it just all defenses do is wait for us to either have a penalty, off-schedule run, off-schedule play, and even if we score, defenses don't believe we can be consistent enough, and we just can't beat a non-conducive environment. And so they just the numbers game. And if you have a halfway decent offense, we struggle to get 14 or even 20 half the time.
Yeah, so, I just feel like I felt like the way to beat you guys, and I think defensive coordinators are kind of showing that. If you look from the first week, even though you guys pulled that one out against the Jaguars, it's for me, it's you guys are a timing offense. If you play physical at the line, physical with your receivers, and rush 4, you will slow Miami's offense down. If you play soft zone, they will destroy you. I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, that's how I think defensive coordinators are starting to catch on. You guys are a really fast team, fun team. But if you play physical against the Miami Dolphins, I think you slow that down. You got to jam up the receivers at the line. At least do your best to slow them down. You're not going to always get the best of Tyreek Hill, but I think if you play physical at the line, you could disrupt the timing from Tua, and that's where because they want Tua to get rid of the ball really quick, right? They don't want Tua to get. So if you throw that timing off, I think that's where you saw the second interception, the one that he overthrew, and I think that was kind of on the receiver for stopping. I don't know what happened on that play. I don't know.
You wonder why is Waddle and Hill not in enough? Like these are critical plays. Like why? Where are they?
That was weird. Yeah, I have no idea. And why are you going to that guy of all guys? I would say that the third interception was terrible, by the way.
Oh yeah, but he was at that point we will lose. At that point he was losing.
No, I get it.
And he was just like, let me just try to make something happen because if not, it'd have been a sack, and then you would have punted, and you would have been all short field.
I almost thought Curtis that he got like a little concussed there on that play. If you go back and look at that play where he got hit, he hit his head on the turf pretty hard too. And then the next drive or the next series is where he had the concussion. I'm just throwing that out there, but go back and watch that play, the one where he throws the interception. He hits his head pretty hard. In the next series, though he looked fine, is where he had the concussion. Just throwing that out there. But, watch that play over. Yeah, we'll go ahead with Scott.
This week will tell us everything. This Seattle defense is tough. One of the best secondaries. They can get. I think they got a better front than the Bills right now. And so if Sky can actually do something, then there's options. But if he can't, none of these guys can operate with this offense and offensive line. So I just don't think that this offensive line is conducive for anybody other than a Tua. And so if it plays out that way this Sunday, it's bad news for us. Really bad news. I mean, really.
A question for you, Curtis, on that. Since Scott brought up the quarterback situation, being a Jets guy and being familiar with the guy, he's now in Buffalo. Why the Dolphins? Knowing to his injury history, I know he was healthy last year, but you understand you need that insurance policy. And we saw Skylar Thompson a couple years ago. You guys barely squeaked it into the playoffs because just Skylar Thompson couldn't cut it. Why did they just cut the plug on a backup quarterback that we've seen start in games and play pretty well when he was with the Jets? Why was it just like a short leash to go back to Skylar Thompson as a backup?
Well, because they kind of suck, first off. So something simple, like you could have had Huntley on your practice squad before this and getting him prepped for this game. Why didn't you do that? Second, White just couldn't deliver the ball fast enough and didn't have the mobility to deal with the poor offensive line. So it was a bad get to begin with. He's a good quarterback if you give him a decent but this offensive line's bad. So you've got to throw fast or you got to be mobile. He was neither. And so, they went with Skyler. He's cheaper. They got the draft pick. They're hoping they can, find a gem or whatever. So that's why they kind of, but again, it's like, why didn't you get Huntley before this? It was just bad planning all around. Like, why would you invest this little and believe your own thoughts smell good with bringing these kind of players on your offensive line when the rest of the league is investing in the offensive line, and even a schmuck like me knew 3 years ago we're going to pass balance. Problem is we just got terrible leadership at the top.
Yeah, the money too. I think the money, Scott's right. I think you saved a little bit by cutting White as well. I don't know how much you saved, but you probably saved a little bit there by cutting White.
Yeah, so I think that's the reason. He wasn't able, because if you watched him in preseason, he wasn't able to get things going. Because like McD,
that's what I heard.
McD would try to pull off some of the pass rush mitigation calls and screens and play actions, and he would just crumble. Where Skyler could kind of move around a little bit and buy some time and make a little bit more happen.
All right. Well, Curtis, it's time to move
thanks
on
for beating
from
me up for the last 20 minutes. I appreciate that, kicking me in the groin while I'm sick on my own channel. So anyway, I hope to do it again to you sometime in the future.
Well, I hate to give you the bad news, but the Bills versus Dolphins hasn't gone your way as of late. So I don't know if that time's coming. But anyways, let's get on to the next game from last week, Curtis. Let's go with the Jets and Titans. And by the way, Curtis, our man Anthony right below there, was at the game in Tennessee almost saw the Tennessee Titans pull one off, but the Jets got it done. Come on, Anthony, tell us about the game. You were there, man.
It was unreal. It was an awesome experience. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Tennessee. I think, Tommy, you said you were there at some point. But
I've traveled through. Yep, I traveled through there.
Yeah. If you haven't been there, you got to go. It's an awesome experience. The fans there were great too. We had a pretty good section there with some Jet fans, a lot of Tennessee Titans fans. All fair play game. But about the game itself, I think it was a little bit of the same in the 49ers game, coming out very, very flat. Didn't score our first touchdown until late in the first half. Big drive by Rodgers in a 2-minute offense. Eventually get that touchdown. But it's a concern that I have with Saleh, and I said it for the past few years. Like, it just seems like when there's a big game or they meet, it's a weird situation where they sometimes play up to the competition or down to the competition. This was a game I really walked in and really felt like the Jets could handle Tennessee and win, in control. I didn't think they were going to blow them out, but I felt like they'd have control for most of the game, and that really wasn't the case in this one. Lucky to get away with a win in this one. Rodgers was still rusty in this game as he was the week prior. Just, minimal yardage, just kind of controlling the game a little bit. But the running game was huge. Braylon Allen, who the Jets drafted in the 4th round this year, a guy who I originally thought would be one of the top 100 players in the draft for sure, kind of squeaked to us late in the draft, and he's been a bulldozer for the Jets in this running game. Every time he touches the ball, He seems to fall forward. There was a play, and I know we're not talking about the Pats game, but there was a play, even the Pats game, looked like he was going to be tackled for a loss, just continues to fall forward, gain a couple yards.
That's really good, man.
Yeah, a good complimentary guy for Breece Hall. And, overall, this offense just operated exactly the way that you would hope. No turnovers in this game. Rodgers commanded it. Just would like to see at some point, and we'll get into it at some point, would like to see the Jets kind of control a game from the beginning until the end. And this coaching staff looking like they come out with the right game plan from the start.
All right. Yeah, man. I thought you guys were going to win a little bit better than that. But a win is a win. In the NFL, wins don't come easy. So you just take them how they come. But I felt like your offense struggled there a little bit, right? It wasn't electric in any way for the first 2 weeks. But you got, like I said, once again, I kind of saw Aaron Rodgers. I thought he played better than he did week one. So that was a good sign, and clearly you saw what happened in week 3, which we'll get to in a minute. I feel like you guys should run the ball more a little bit. I kind of feel like you're not running as much as you should, especially in that game. I mean, Breece Hall 64 yards. He could 14 carries, not bad. And Allen I really like too. I think that's a good two-headed monster you got going on there. So as far as that goes, I thought your offense did fine. Your defense could have been better. I'm not gonna lie. Your defense is really, really good. Going against Levis, who, by the way, what is going on with Will Levis? Like, that dude from rookie year, he was not this bad. He is playing terrible. Like, I don't know what is going on in his head at times where he's just so. Yeah, but he didn't do that year one. I don't remember. I don't recall Will Levis playing like a rookie in year 2. It's really odd to see. I honestly think at this point, if you're the Titans, I don't know who their backup is, but you need to sit him down. He needs to learn a little bit more. Something has to happen because he is making way too many costly mistakes. That's costing his team ultimately. Like, can't do that. So anyways, I thought you guys played well enough. You got the dub. That's all that matters at the end of the day, man.
Yeah, he bailed us out for sure. That pitch back fumble was
what the hell was it? That was terrible.
I mean, it was third down, nothing. Worst case scenario, throw it, get a field goal. Get the Jets the ball, and eventually worked our way down to tie the game up.
And not only that, like, those kind of dumb plays are like momentum swings. Big time. You're like big time momentum swings. And bro, that means everything sometimes in the game, momentum swings. So, man, at home, you can't make that play. You can't do that. That's like backyard football shit, man. Come on now. Zach, what's your thoughts on that game? I know you're having, by the way, Zach's having some internet issues, guys, so if he cuts back in, that's why. Yep. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, you kind of said what I was thinking. The Jets, I'm not, and it's probably bad to say this right now, but I have not been super high on the Jets this year. Again, bad timing to say that, as we know it happened on Thursday. But even though I've not been very high on the Jets, I expected them to handle the Titans, which with much more ease than they did. So, yeah, I would have expected a little bit more of a convincing win. I wish they had kind of put more energy into that than they did in the Patriots game. But overall, I would have expected a little bit more of a commanding victory with the Jets. But as you said, a win is a win, and good for Jets fans. Good for you, Anthony, being at the game. And I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true too.
I know away game wins are the best feeling. So.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
What's your thought, Curtis, on that game? Titans and Jets.
I think the Titans are a better team than people might give them credit for. I think one of the biggest things was their offensive line. They got the kid, I keep forgetting his name, Cushenberry, and they drafted the big dude. And they got some good receivers. Yeah, and I think that team is better than people give them credit for. I think they're going to give my team, the Dolphins, a struggle next week. As far as Levis, I think what you're seeing is good because He has a load of talent. I think this kid can play, but he's got to have these ugly, ugly moments to bring him to a point to find out if he doesn't figure it out now. I mean, look at some of these top guys. Look at Brett Favre struggling early in his career. You've got to hit rock bottom, and then you are either going to learn from it or you're going to continue, and they can dump him next year. I think the kid's going to learn. The first week cost him the game, I think. Second week, I don't think it cost him. I think Dittygate, I didn't hear about that. Oof. More fun for the Dolphins time, OBJ and Dittygate. I think the Titans are a tough team, and I think you got Rodgers coming off a major injury. You've got a whole new offensive line. First week, they got rocked because the reality is Jets struggle stopping the inside run. They shouldn't have got rid of what's-his-face, Myers. Mm-hmm. They've got the guy from Philly who's sitting in the wings. They flipped those roles, and then they lost Jermaine Johnson. So they kind of got screwed. There's like an underpinning of concern right now. But that interior DI spot is where you attack them. And San Fran, like the new NFL, is about building a balanced offense that can attack a defense wherever their weakness. You just got to be kind of pretty good at all the skill sets: inside zone, gap run, outside zone, screens, true pass set blocking, and having receivers that can tax things. And then you find the weakness in attack. And San Fran's very good with that. And they really exposed the Jets. They tacked them inside. Jets made some mistakes early, and it kind of got away from them, which you expect. And in week 2, they played the Titans. But I think they had control of the game. I felt like there was an upticking. And I do think the Titans, they've got a good defense. They got Simmons inside. And what the heck's his name? The giant dude they picked in the draft that I wanted. Nose tackle. Yeah, Sweat. And they've got a good defensive scheme. They've got some quality guys in the secondary. And even if Levis didn't make that play, you guys would have probably won. So, but I think Levis is getting to that point where you're going to find out who he is. I think it was a good game for the Jets, and really you could see the trend cycle. And then Patriots, I think the Patriots are a solid team. I think White was unbelievable. I saw him play against Seattle, and he just dumped Connor Williams. Good plays. They got good players on the defense. They obviously got problems on the offensive line. Brissett's not a guy that's going to be.
You are jumping to another game there, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that So you got some good players, and so I think the Jets, when they went against the Patriots. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to talk about the Patriots, right? Oh yeah, sorry, I did get away. I told you I'm sick. Anyway, I think the Jets are doing good. It was a tough win. Titans are not as good. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments over there and I'm getting lost. I'm like, I can't do 2 things at once. Tommy.
Multitasking.
Anyway, I'm done. I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't multitask, man. My wife tells me it all the time. She might be right.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Sounds like my wife. He brought me back.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Anyway, I don't know what I was talking about.
Let's go to the Seahawks.
There's something in there value. Find it.
Let's go to the Seahawks Patriots game. We'll start with Zach first. Zach, come on, man. What happened, bro?
Yeah, just an unfortunate game, not only because of the loss on the field in the final box score, but also the loss of Jawan Bentley, now expected to be out for the season with a torn pec. Bentley is the Patriots defensive captain. He is the Patriots defensive play caller, great tackler. I believe he's been the team's leading tackler for the past 3 or 4 years by now. And losing him, I know that's not, I guess, super specific to the game, but he got injured in that game, now out for the season. That is a huge loss. Then just that game in general, Geno Smith looked incredible. And it's kind of tough to tell whether that's because of the Patriots defense playing subpar or whether that is the Seahawks offense playing very impressive football. My guess is that it's the latter. I think that the Seahawks have a real chance of being I wouldn't say a Super Bowl contender this year, but that sort of upper echelon, probably tier 2 type team where their playoff team maybe can make a run. Again, Geno looked great there for them. Patriots offense looked good enough, couldn't finish it off. Had that last, or I guess not last drive, but that drive towards the end of the game where 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left, thinking that you can kind of close it out. You're up by 3, and then Antonio Gibson goes for a 50-yard run, and the team still just turns it right back over to the Seahawks off of that block kick. So it's rough to see the team just kind of fall apart a little bit. Overall, I can't really complain about their performance, though. Going head-to-head with I would say, playoff caliber team, and taking them into overtime, it's a overall pretty good game for a team that's supposed to be rebuilding.
Yeah, it's early on. I'm not sold on Seattle. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but it's early. We'll see. Like I kind of feel like, I know we're talking. I'm going to bring up another team that's outside the AFC East, but the Saints.
Getting off track, Tommy. Stay on.
I'm getting off track.
Me.
And the Buffalo Bills.
Like me.
No, but the Saints. I kind of feel like the Saints, right? Like early on, like sometimes we jump the gun on certain teams, like high and low. The Saints right now are really looking good. Like I don't know.
I think
you know what I mean. Like I get
a better team than the Saints.
Oh, I think the Seahawks are a better team than the Patriots, and they showed it. And when we did our predictions, we were really close. If you guys watched last weekend's AFC East Shakedown, Zach and Ben had it 2017 Patriots. I had it 2017 Seahawks. So we had the 3-point swing right. We were just off on the score a little bit, 23-20, and we were really, really close. And I told you guys, I thought like Seattle would just do just enough to get that W, and they did. I just felt like they had more firepower on offense, and I just feel like the Patriots' offense is what's going to hurt them this year, and it really is. Like, if you see when we're going to talk about the Jets and the Patriots game, the offense really was bad. But we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, 23-20. Listen, man, I know you guys like Jacoby Brissett. I'm not hating on Brissett, and me and Zach had a conversation on X. I think Jacoby Brissett is, man, one of the better backups in the league. There's no doubt. Like, if you have a rookie quarterback and you're building a team and you want to sit him year one, which I think the Patriots are doing, that's what you're supposed to do, especially on a rebuild mode where your offensive line is trash and you really don't have a lot of weapons. Have your guys sit behind a really quality veteran quarterback. So I have no problem with that, but he's not going to, get this team far, and you don't want to go that far. You want to build through the draft. So I agree with the Patriots are doing, but I also, at the same time, I know your offense is going to struggle week in, week out, and your defense is what's going to really keep you in these games. But if you go against a better offense like the Seahawks, like for instance, you're going to lose those games. It's just going to happen. So. Yeah, I thought the Seahawks would win, and they did. So, Anthony, what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit. This Patriots offense is going to be a problem for them for the foreseeable future. I mean, it's very talent riddled, and when they go up against teams that have weapons all over the field, like Seattle with Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, Geno Smith can fling it. You got these. It's just going to be too much for a team that's Let's be honest. They're hoping to win these games by a score of 14-10, 17-10,
right.
And that just doesn't work in the NFL. Brissett's a good quarterback. He can manage a game, but when the game starts getting away from them, it can get really far. And teams are going to hone in. They're going to start blitzing. They're going to really control it. Because, let's be real. There's no one on the outside of the Patriots that you're afraid of. It's all in the middle with the running back, Ramondre Stevenson, and Hunter Henry. And that's exactly who they go to at all points of time. And Hunter Henry got his yards this game. Stevenson had his game, but at some point in time, teams have to win on the outside, and the Patriots don't have that guy. Jalen Polk looks promising as a developmental prospect, but definitely not there yet. They're just lacking offensive skill position players that can strike fear in a defense. I kind of mentioned, like, at some point in time, Drake May is going to get his shot. And maybe that provides a little bit of a spark, but it's not going to provide enough of a spark where this team is going to be able to compete with some of these higher end offenses that have been in their systems for years and years.
I would be nervous as hell putting May in with that offensive line one. No, I mean it's
he didn't look good. He looked very rookie when he came in.
He looked very rookie because he is very rookie. One, two, he doesn't have protection to really, and how much did he really work with the ones in the preseason? We all knew, and everyone knew that it was Brissett's job, right, to start the season. Mm-hmm. So throwing him in there in like a game, like at the end there, where the offensive line is just beat up. I thought I wouldn't even have done it at that. I'll give Brissett credit, man. He is tough, by the way. He was taking some massive hits, and I'm like, damn, he's probably going to go out. Nope, he came right back in. Yep. So he's a tough dude. But I don't know how long I don't know how long that's going to last, though. That's the problem. He is going to, like, you could see he was getting banged up in that game. So that's the problem. If I'm the Patriots, I'm considering having somebody, if Brissett goes down, don't put May in. Put whoever else you got. I don't know who your other quarterback up is, but I would definitely roll with that. But here's the problem, too. You guys are one-dimensional. Like, Stevenson is really, really good. But if defenses stack the box and stuff that run and just basically force you to throw, it's going to be a problem because your offensive line can't hold up and give your quarterback time, even Brissett, who's not bad. But if you don't have no time, forget about it. It's game over. And that's what happened. The Jets were just bringing it. Brissett had no time. They were stuffing the run. And we'll get to that game in a minute. But, man.
Yeah, you're going off to a different game.
I am. I'm moving on to another game.
You're losing it, man.
Curtis, I'm losing it. Curtis, I'm gonna throw it to you.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think that if you're a Patriots fan, you want to go like 5 or 6 wins, so you can go get yourself in that position to get a top flight receiver.
Yep.
And
we don't want a receiver. We want a lineman.
You can probably need that too. But don't think the guy that had a left tackle, don't they think that he's a guy who could develop?
Probably not. The receiver is now again. They could use a receiver, but Anthony touched on it a little bit. Jalen Polk is going to be an incredible player. I want to put that out there so you guys can say that you were first on it too. Jalen Polk has been great. He hasn't really had the volume, but that's just because the offensive line hasn't let us pass the ball. Polk, I believe, is like, this is off the top of my head, and might not be true now after the third game, but I know through the first 2 weeks, he was the highest rookie receiver in terms of separation rate, and he was top 10 in the whole NFL. Wow. So he has been getting open. He has incredible hands. He just hasn't had the volume because the Patriots can't pass the football. So receivers, although they could use another one, and like a true number one, that is much, 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 much less of an issue than this year's offensive line, and that much less of an issue than last year's wide receiver room.
The only thing is, though, if you look at it, both the receiver and the offensive line class was amazing this year. And it's hard to get back-to-back amazing years. It could be a dip in the talent on both. So I don't know what the talent's looking. Somebody was saying the receiving group wasn't looking hot for next year. I don't know about the offensive line group. I'm not much of a college guy.
I mean, you know the way it is. The NFL is all about hyping up those offensive skill players. I mean, this last draft, 9 of the first 10 picks or something like that were all offensive players. It's going to be kind of force-fed offensive players in the top of the draft. There's going to be 3 quarterbacks going in the top of the draft, like there is like every year now. It seems there's going to be those splashy skill players that, let's be real. Malik Neighbors wasn't really a guy people were talking about early into the draft process last year. Eventually found his way being the second guy off the board. It's just the way the NFL is. It's built. They want points. They want offensive guys make money. The way it is.
Yeah.
And there will be those players. I honestly have been looking at the draft the past 10 years. It seems like in September and October, I am doing that is the furthest thing from my vision at this point in time. looking ahead into the draft at this point.
I think Zach is right, though, because if you really look at the trending now, like this pass balance, offensive linemen are becoming like everyone's trying to gobble them up. So I think he might be right. If they feel comfortable with that, their receiver, they might try to, because you need offensive linemen, especially with the lack of practices. So I changed my take on it.
Regardless, they're going to have to double dip. They're going to have to.
I didn't know Polk was that good.
One wide receiver first 2 picks is probably going to be the direction they'll have to go in the draft.
I'm with you. I like Curtis too. Like, we know this offensive line is really, it means so much more than what people really sometimes give it credit for. Like, you have to have a good offensive line to make it in the NFL. Like,
yes, Dolphins media, they'll agree with you.
Yeah, well, you need them.
They know though.
But and I'll tell you this too. Like a lot of people like I had people in a chat comment me on one of my videos I did. Were like, oh, you gotta, the Bills can't get a good receiver because they keep drafting receivers late. Bro, listen, how many good to great receivers are drafted late in the NFL draft? You don't always have to have a top 10 pick to get like a top 10 receiver in the draft to get a really good to great. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Last year, Puka Nacua, we could have drafted him. We chose Justin Shorter. So there is guys out there. There's Hall of Fame players that were drafted 7th round, 6th round. There's really good talent. Even Gabe Davis, and I'll tell people, you can knock him all you want, but he was a 4th round player, and he got 850 yards. Yes, great value, but people want to knock certain. I'm like, bro, he got you almost 1,000 yards back-to-back season. For a 4th round, I'm good with that. Okay, but my point is offensive line. Yes, man, those kind of guys though. If you have a stud that you could take early, yes, draft him early on, take him, especially if your offensive line is as poor as it is in New England. So let's move on to the game that we were just kind of talking about, which was the Jets and the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. Right back to Zach. Whoa. Zach, talk to us.
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit with the Seahawks game, but the absence of Jawan Bentley was absolutely felt. Patriots could not tackle. And a part of that is that the Jets have very good players who are very good with the ball in their hands. But I think that it was more so the fact that the Patriots were just completely unable to bring players down. Thought offensively, really could not have done much worse. Defensively, Christian Gonzalez looked good. I mean, he let up his first career touchdown, but that was, I would say, pretty much perfect coverage, like pretty close to perfect. It's just a great ball by Aaron Rodgers, and Gonzo went for the pick 6 at that point in the game. That's kind of what he had to do, because if he just breaks that ball up, let's face it, the Jets are scoring a touchdown anyways, or at least they're getting 3. So he had to go for the pick on that. A pass breakup wouldn't have done anything. He wasn't able to get it. Rodgers placed that ball very well. But other than that, Gonzalez let up like 3 catches or 2 catches, and one of them was a screen. Great cornerback. Like a genuinely elite top 3 to 5 caliber cornerback. He is locking up pretty much every team's best receiver. The rest of Bryce Behringer, the punter, he looked good. That's about it.
Boy, it's bad when you're talking about your
Mario Douglas Mario Douglas finally had a good game. He's the Patriots kind of shifty type receiver. He didn't really get any volume in the first 2 games, and he did get some against the Jets, so that was good to see. Seeing him kind of get back on track a little bit. I just didn't understand, like, Ramondre Stevenson had, I believe, 6 carries, or it was
he had 6 carries.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
I think that fumble was his last carry. I know that was his 6th. So he's putting up 100 yards per game for you, and then that's just not true. They very easily do. The Patriots defense is elite. They had a poor game. Like again, it's hard to say this after that game. but that is not a game that is representative of the Patriots defense. They still have a top 10, maybe even top 5 defense. They have an elite defense. But yeah, overall, like that is about as bad as we will see the Patriots be this season. Which in a way it makes sense. They're coming off of a short week, coming off of a game that went into overtime, which especially does not help on those short weeks. They are trying to replace a defensive captain, a defensive play caller, and a star player, Joanne Bentley, which again they have to do on a short week. Could not have gone worse in pretty much every way. Just one more thing before I let you.
All right, I think Zach cut out. So I'll piggyback off that. So look, I don't think the Patriots have elite defense. I'll disagree with that a little bit. I think they have a really good defense. I think their defense is very good. I think they're solid. I think their coach is a Belichick type of coach, right? Coming off the Belichick tree type of coach. I like their coach. I think Mayo's getting those guys ready to play. He'll have them ready to play every single Sunday. And you got to respect that as a head coach. Got to respect that. That's why Bill Belichick always had his team ready to play, no matter who was out there. So I'll give you guys that. And I'll also say this: I didn't think the defense played that bad against the Jets. I just felt like the offense was so bad. The Patriots defense was out there for so long. Eventually, you're going to break in time. Like, it's just the way it goes. I mean, look at the Jets last year. When the offense was poor, the Jets defense eventually started to crack. I mean, that's just the way it works. So I didn't think the defense was that terrible. The guy made a hell of a play. I forget his name. Who was it that made that touchdown? Was it White? That had that touchdown for the Jets? Wilson. Was it Wilson that had that touchdown? That was
a touchdown.
Yeah, that was a hell of a touchdown. Like that was man, dude. That was guarded really well. Like you got to just tip your cap to him. Yeah, but this is the first game I got to say too. Like Aaron Rodgers looked sharp. That I saw out of the first 2 weeks. He did look sharp. He was hitting his guys. He looked in control. That was the Aaron Rodgers y'all wanted, right? That's the Aaron Rodgers you guys traded for. And like I said, though, I think if the Patriots offense though was any better, that would have been a much better game. Because I just feel that way. I felt like the offense just totally let them down, and I do not get why. I know your offensive line is bad, but my God, 6 carries for Stevenson is ridiculous. You guys should be running the ball. You should be throwing to your tight end Henry more often. Like, you guys should be playing the short game, ground and pound. Like, that's what you should be doing year one until you get this offensive line right. Instead of trying to have Jacoby Brissett take over. It's just that's not gonna work. You guys were one dimensional on offense after you didn't. You decided not to run the ball, which you have a bruiser running back. It's not like you have even a small running back. You have a bruiser who can take those hits, who can work with the bad offensive line, and you chose to run them 6 times. So that's on your coach and your offensive coordinator, who didn't adjust, by the way, because you had time to adjust in the game, and you didn't. And then the game got away from you, and then you had to pass. Then you had no choice.
I think that's the issue there, right? Like you just pointed on. I think it was, by the time the score was 14-0, I think the Patriots probably operated with like 9 or 10 plays at that point. So obviously that dictates for sure how you call the game. Still very early. Should have still kind of dictated.
Very early. Yeah, 14 points is nothing. Yeah, 14 is nothing in a game, especially early on. Like, that's nothing. You still should dictate the game by running the ball, especially with the Patriots. Like I said, they're not a high-powered offense. You got to work. You got to go with what you have, what your best options are, and that is Stevenson, and that is your tight ends. That's it. Right now, that's how I would do if I was a Patriots offense, and you try to keep your defense fresh. That's it. You control the clock, you run the ball, you throw to your tight end, and you have your defense fresh, and you will be in games. Look at the Seattle game. Look at Week 1. I mean, they run the ball. When Stevenson's involved, look how close the game was. When Stevenson's not involved, look how bad the game got.
No,
That's how I saw it. Curtis? Oh, sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
I agree with that 100%. We saw it in the Seahawks game, how Ramondre Stevenson and Hunter Henry worked very well. It was just kind of game.
Yeah.
Something slipped, and it wasn't I can't even really pinpoint exactly what happened there. I think they just kind of lost it a little bit towards the end. But just going into that short week, that I think that's what really messed with them. And the first short week of the Gerard Mayo era, maybe that's what it is. He doesn't know how to lay out the practices and whatever on a short week. But yeah, I think that that's a part of it. And then I just want to go to a couple comments because I know we have this one on screen. Raekwon McMillan didn't look great, but again, it is a very tall task to replace a defensive captain when you have like 2 practices. And then we have a couple more. I just am scrolling through. Top 16 to 12, not elite whatsoever. Now it's tough to say right now because Christian Barmore's out and he is a Pro Bowl caliber player. And Jawan Bentley is now out. But I fully believe that when healthy, and I think that most NFL analysts that I've seen agree with this, when healthy, the Patriots defense is the best in the AFC East. And I think you'll all probably disagree because all of these teams have very good defenses. So I'm sure, I knocked the mic into my face. I'm sure I'll say that the Patriots have the best defense. I'm sure Curtis will say the Dolphins do. Anthony will say the Jets do. And Tommy will say the Bills do. But I really do fully believe, and I think that most people who actually watch the Patriots and know what's happening on that defense agree that when healthy, they have a legitimate top 5 defense. Top 5 to 7 at least. And then,
see, I don't know about that, Zach. Like, I get where you're going, and I told you before. I think your defense is a tough defense. I think you guys bring it. I think you guys are typical Belichick type of defense where you're going to bring it every week. But I don't know about elite. I just don't see that. And if you really want to counter off the AFC East defenses,
so what's their weakness? Because they have probably a top 3 safety room in the NFL. Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers are both very good safeties. They have a great cornerback room. Christian Gonzalez is going to lock
I think
down.
Gonzalez is good. I think Gonzalez is solid. I don't think your run defense is anything
solid, Tommy.
No, I think he's solid. He is solid. Solid to me is solid. What do you want? He's solid is elite. Solid is top 5 corner, no doubt about it. That's how I consider solid. Josh Allen is solid. Elite, solid, elite, same thing.
Right,
but
so
I don't think your run defense is unbelievable. I don't think your safeties are the greatest. I'm just saying, I think your defense is good. I'm not crapping on your defense. But if you want to go around the AFC East, you really want to go that route, the Buffalo Bills are missing everybody. If you want to talk about playing at a high level against good opposition, you're talking about Arizona Cardinals, who everyone, it's Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are better than what people think. You all saw that last week. We play the Miami Dolphins, who are a tough team. When they're on, they're on. And we have nobody. Like, honestly, look at our team. We are playing. And I think that also has to do with your coaching. I think it has to do with your coaching, your defensive coordinator, how they prep the guys, how your backups, your depth matters too. It's not always about who's starting. It's about who also is on your depth. Guy goes down, like you said, who's going to fill in for him? Is he gonna fill in good? Like, we have players that have been filling in. So I would say I don't think our defense is elite, but I think we're right up there with you guys as far as being a really good defense. Now, the Jets, I really feel like they are borderline elite. They have some stud players on that team. They're very physical, physical corners, physical defensive line. When they're on their A game, man, they are up there with the best. But I would say between Patriots and Bills, we have a very similar type of defense, very top 10 type of defense. I don't think we're either elite. I think the Jets are probably the best in the East as far as defense, as far as a unit goes, a complete unit. And I think the Dolphins are on the bottom there. I don't think they're terrible defense, but I think
now you're on the bottom.
Hey, Curtis, I'm just saying. How do you feel about that, Curtis? What do you think about the defense in the East? In the East,
you have to remember, especially for defense more than anything else, how are they being supported by the offense and even the offensive line with time possession? I think the Dolphins, they have some pieces. I think they have a weak DI interior that really hurts them. And when you have an offense that really can't have ball control, is not really high scoring, it really puts them – because if you look at – we've invested everything on D edges and secondary and wide receivers. So the concept for us is throw the football, get the lead, force them to have to pass, and then get after them with our offense. You look at McDonald's offense. It's designed to play light looks and blitz. But the problem is when you have close games for a long period of time, that stresses the D interior and the run-stopping ability. And when you bring constant light boxes, then you have to get leverage down to the line of scrimmage, which exposes your secondary. And that's what you've been seeing from the Dolphins. And I think even with the Jets, they kind of were exposed a little bit in their problems against San Fran. I think the Jets, though, the secondary – not so much their safety group, their linebackers. They had the best D tackle in the division. Maybe super impressed. Their rookie, not the second-year guy, went down. I think they had definitely the best edge group, maybe until Chubb gets back from Dolphins. I don't know. Bills, I think the Bills, they're just vet. The Bills, the Bills are just vet. There's something. They really don't have a great safety group. They've got the what's his kid? I can't remember the guy's name. They picked up last year in a trade. Excellent corner. Benford's really,
Douglas.
Yeah, Benford's really good. Teron Johnson's really good. So they got in 3 nights.
Who's hurt?
Yeah, who's hurt? I mean, Milano not being in is a big
hurt.
deal.
Bernard hurt.
Yeah, you could kind of feel in the linebacker position. Daquan's is not back to who he was, but he still plays solid.
It's getting there. Yeah.
Oliver can pop and disappear. Vaughn's looking like he's showing. Rousseau is unbelievable. I think he might be the best edge player in the division. But I think they get by on veteran leadership. But they've got an offense that's running the football. It's controlling time of possession. They're able to take advantage of those, which a lot of the other teams really can't, except for maybe the Jets, if they can keep on. I mean, what Rodgers does, and we go back to the game, they just attacked the offensive line of the Patriots, and they were just overwhelmed. And they got on top of them. And I think the rookie staff just got flummoxed, and then that was it. My Dolphins, though, man, it's just really hard because offensive line makes the NFL world go round. We have the worst offensive line. So I think that our D talent is just not optimized. So for me, I would say our offense is better than the Patriots. So when you base the whole thing, I would say Jets, Bills, Dolphins, and then Patriots. And it's not the defense itself. It's just you can't put these defenses out there. I get what you're saying,
yeah.
When they're not designed that way. Like if we had a big DI interior and we could grind it out in a nice depth rotation, it might take some of that weight off, but we're not designed like that. So that would be my take.
I just feel like I said, and it was Zach Curtis exactly what I said. I think the Jets, the Bills, I would say the Patriots over the Dolphins as far as defense. But I get where you're going with that.
But Tommy, hold on a second. Tommy. Anyway, it's good to see you there, Anthony. It's been a fun time. Wait, hold on. I hit the wrong button. Hold on. I got everybody here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to shut Tommy down. Sorry.
No, but seriously, but hey, Curtis, honestly though, our defense, you got to go for depth though. As far as you got to give it up to what we're doing as far as the depth on defense. Like you mentioned guys, you mentioned the main guys, right? Which of course you mentioned Gregory Rousseau. Von Miller is starting to look like the Von Miller that we signed in 2022, which is obviously what we want. Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver. But the guys, a lot of these guys, the key guys are hurting, right? You're missing your 2 linebackers. Linebackers are, missing Matt Milano, who's an all-pro, missing Terrell Bernard, who is really solid. And then you got 2 new safeties in the back. And now you got Cam Lewis in for Teron Johnson, who's considered one of the best nickels in the league. So we're really banged up, and we're still playing, I feel like, at a really high level on defense. You got to give it up. to the defense of the Buffalo Bills. That's what I'm saying. Depth is so important because
But I think
go ahead and take.
Offense, I think your offense. It's
I'm
such
with
a complimentary.
you. It is complimentary.
Offense is really good.
But you still have. Yes, but you still have to have a defense to actually get those turnovers, get stops. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying you got to give it up to the depth because not take these pieces off any team. The amount I'm talking about, the amount of injuries to key positions. A lot of teams are in trouble. A lot of defenses are in trouble.
And you drafted looks pretty good. That's a nice find late. Benford was taken late. You know,
Benford is a late, a couple years ago. He actually got the nod over Elam, who was the first round pick. So that's what I was saying. Not every
Tommy. I was expecting to see him.
He's actually, it was his best offseason, but Christian Benford is just continuing to play better and better. So they're not going to ever. I think what they're probably planning to do, Curtis, is Rasul Douglas. They gave a short extension to. Kyer Elam's having he had a way better camp. Best camp he's had since we drafted him, right? He had a really solid preseason. So what they're doing is I think they're gearing him up for when Rasul Douglas walks. Mm-hmm. Now you got Kyer Elam, so it'll be Benford and Elam when Douglas goes. Because Douglas isn't young. Douglas is like,
he's like 30.
He's getting up there. Yeah, so they only gave him like a 2-year extension. So I think that's what their plan is. We brought in a new corners coach it came from the University of Miami, so he's doing a good job. Coaching is everything too, man. I feel like scheme means a lot. It matters a lot. And I think that's what Sean McDermott does well. He's a defensive-minded head coach. He got Bobby Babich, who now is calling the play. So all that matters. But I agree with you about the offense. The offense also will help out the defense, and that's what's going on with the Patriots right now. They're just not helping out the defense, and it's hurting them. It's hurting them big time. But
good. Sal, I want to ask you about this. Did that look weird with Rodgers pushing off Salah?
I heard about that. I heard about
that. Dude, I was like, I rewinded it twice. I'm like, that doesn't look normal.
That's such a non-story, though. If you read the lips, all he's saying is now you have a 2-score lead. Go.
Yeah, that's all he said. Yeah, they talked about. Yeah, that's it.
Lead.
Yeah, the media tries to spin everything. The media tries to spin everything, Curtis.
Yeah,
so that's
he's trying to like hug him, and he's like.
Yeah, because he said he normally doesn't hug him, but he was more like jacked up, like 2-score lead, whatever he said. Because they talked about that going into the game. So that's nothing. It wound up being a non-story that they tried to make into a story. I mean, but that's what they do. That's what the NFL tell. Like,
all good though.
Yeah. So anybody else on this game before we move on?
I think I got to talk about the game a little bit here.
Yeah, go for it, man. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Anthony, the Jets fan. He was. By the way, Curtis,
I gotta turn my audio off.
You should have seen this guy, Curtis, on X with his Jets garbage and his little emojis and GIFs. He was loving life. Go ahead, Anthony.
So I talked about Tennessee game earlier about how aggravated I am with this coaching staff about not being prepared, not coming out of the gate, looking like you're ready to play. Well, this game was exactly the opposite story. They came out ready to roll. Even that first drive where we end up settling for a punt after a penalty, even that drive right there looked like we were rolling. This was a game, like, even after we punt that first possession, you just knew this was going to operate the way that we wanted it to. The Jets controlled this game from the start, and it was just Rodgers being that Hall of Fame quarterback, just operating this offense, a grown-up offense. The Jets haven't had a quarterback coming in operating offense the way that we saw it this past week in my lifetime. It really feels like the last quarterback I really feel like can operate an offense like this was probably Chad Pennington in the mid-2000s. Rodgers came in and just picked apart the Patriots defense, as good or bad as you might think they are. After that game, Rodgers just did exactly what he wanted to. This running game behind Braylon Allen and Breece Hall just got yards in chunks, and the Jets didn't even attack them with the running game. This was a game, so it really just looked like a game that the Jets said, you know what, we want Rodgers to win this game. First game back at home after the tragic injury last year. We just want the feel goods of this game. So we're going to go out there and we're going to throw this ball however many times we want and control this clock. And that's exactly what they did. They controlled the game for 40 minutes of times of possession. The Jets defense was absolutely they did exactly what needed to be done. They're a team that never operates with the blitz. Like, they never blitz, and I get irritated by it. It's the way that they run in San Francisco. They don't really blitz a lot either. But this is a game where they said, all right, they're not going to beat us on the outside. We have good enough corners where we can put them on an island and let them control the outside. We just can't let them control the game with the run game. And that's exactly what they did. Came in with a lot of run blitzes. And I think that has a lot to do, as we were mentioned earlier, with why Stevenson was getting the ball, because the Jets were coming in with like five or six guys to stop the run. And Stevenson was getting small chunks. I think there was one big run that he had in this game that got called back for a penalty. Like, it was a face mask by him, like, downfield, so it wasn't like as big of a penalty. This pass rush was just amazing. 7 sacks in this game. Will McDonald, over the last 2 games, 5 sacks. He's a guy that came in with a lot of pressure coming into the year. Obviously, losing Bryce Huff, losing JFM, going out and bringing Hassan Reddick in. Hassan Reddick holding out. Will McDonald has been a fantastic addition to his team since we drafted him last year. Didn't have a big role last year. This year got forced into it, and a really, really good sight to see. And the Patriots just had nothing. They just absolutely had nothing to go with this game. The best I can say is they contained Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was obviously frustrated. They were bracketing him the entire game. Gonzalez had a good game covering him as well. Rodgers, I think, identified the frustration. I think that touchdown that we talk about, that nice throw to Garrett Wilson in the corner, was almost like a force feed, just to kind of give him the feel-goods of the game. That's what this game was all about, just turning the tide of, the last couple of weeks, the rust, shake it all off, and, beat a team that's given us fits for the past, let's be real, since Brady was there, 20 years, however long it's been, 23 years, that this team has given us fits, and this was a feel-good for the fan base. There's not many Jet fans walking around these neck of woods or anywhere around without a big smile on their face after this 2-1 start. When the Jets had a tough schedule, 3 games in 11 days, to come out of it 2-1 with Denver coming up, lot of good storylines here.
Easy win there for you guys. Well, Denver. Real quick, Zach has to run, guys. Yeah, Zach has to get out of here. He had prior arrangements. So, Zach, any last words before you get out of here?
Not that I can think of. Do you want me to give a quick player of the game?
Yeah, give us, because I know you had to get out of here in a couple minutes. So go ahead and give us the give us your good and bad. Give us your Buddhist man, and go ahead and give us your style and profiling before you run out of here.
I think it's kind of the same with
on both games. You're gonna have to get both games.
It's kind of similar with both, so I'm just gonna do a combined report. I would say that huge shout out to Christian Gonzalez and to Keon White. Both have been incredible so far. Again, I know Gonzalez gave up that touchdown, but I wouldn't say that was particularly on him. I'll do that real quick. I am not on YouTube as of right now, but on Twitter you can find me at NE Patriots Today, and Instagram is.
He's gonna have a YouTube next season when we run this thing. I know Zach's gonna have.
And then but so for good style and profiling, I'll have Christian Gonzalez and Keon White, who have both looked like legitimate. I think Gonzalez a top 5 cornerback. Keon White has looked like it's hard to put a number on edge rushers because there are so many good ones, but he's looked like a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type caliber edge rusher, even though I'm sure he won't get those nods because of the struggles that the Patriots will have, but that type of caliber player. So shout out to those two. And then just I don't want to say a boo this man, but more of just a what's up with that. Ramondre Stevenson fumbling 3 times in 3 weeks.
Oof.
And I don't think they were all lost. I think the Patriots recovered 2 of them maybe, but he's
not good.
He has put the ball on the ground every week. And he's never been a great ball security type of back, but still.
That's going to kill him too, because he's such a good player, but that's going to kill him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he needs to figure that out quick.
Yep.
Real quick, before you go, Zach, we forgot last week. We forgot, and it was not your fault. I forgot to tell you, but we normally do rant of the week at the very end of every episode. Everyone has their opportunity. Do you have any rants before you go? Could be about anything sport related. It don't matter. Refs.
Not that I can think of.
Got
honestly.
nothing? All right.
I don't really have anything right now.
All right, no rants this week from Zach. Yeah. That's all right. I'm sure next week you will. All right, brother. Zach, you be good. Yep. We appreciate you, man. Well. And oh, by the way, Zach won't be on with us next week. We're hoping Ben could join us next week. Who's his co-host on the other on his channel. So thanks, Zach. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
once again,
brother. It's always enjoyable, man.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed your takes.
Thanks. See you
later, brother. All right,
Tommy's leaving us too, so
I'm out of here.
Bye, Tommy.
Hey. Oh man!
I can do this thing, right? Look at that. That's even better.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It is terrible. Go back to
the yellow one.
Yes, no.
Which one did I do?
No, yes, that's fine. That's fine. So, yeah, you know what? I almost forgot because you're running it today and I'm actually running it. So let's get to some awards. Let's get to the style and profiling. Actually, you know what? We'll do the boo this man. So, Anthony, do you have anybody that you want to boo from your last two games, really? Because you guys had a short week.
So I would say from the first game, I mentioned it earlier, the coaches just coming out unprepared, got the win, so it all worked out in the long run. In this past game, I mean, who can we boo? I guess the kicker. He missed a field goal. I mean, everything in the second game.
It's tough.
Went right.
Who do you got? We'll go to Curtis on the boo. Who do you got in boo this man, Curtis, from your last week?
He's the worst GM in the NFL. He's destroying my team. Look at the offensive line. Got a quarterback who you go all in on. He's got an injury history. What's the first thing you do? You give him Swiss cheese on the offensive line. Chris Greer. But don't worry, he's a genius. It's 4D chess. He got Tua hurt. He's going to sink this season, so he gets a top pick, and then he's going to get the guys we always needed for the Super Bowl run next year. Boom.
All right, I'm going to go with Tyler Bass, who's having – I don't know what is going on with Bass. He missed the easy field goal there. I am such a stickler with points, Curtis. Anytime you could score – put points on the board, you better do it. I don't give a fuck how high how many points you are up. You need to make your field goals. You need to get in the end zone if you're on the goal line. I'm a stickler with that, and I cannot stand when points are left off the board. So Tyler Bass has been struggling over the last 2 years. So they brought in two kickers, by the way, terrible kickers. It was just kind of a warning to him, even though he knows it's not going to happen. We would take a massive pay cut, and these guys are terrible that they brung in. It was just more of a message. Hey, if you don't get your act together next year, we will probably move on from you. That's all that is. It's a message. He's still going to remain our kicker, but I think, man, with kickers, it's all about confidence. Right now, he has lost it. And the only way to get it back is he's going to have to make a field goal that matters, meaning end of the game field goal that wins the game, or a very important field goal during a game. Other than that, man, right now I think the Bills Mafia, everyone has just lost faith in our kicker as of right now. Like, I do not have any faith he'll make a kick that is meaningful in a game, and that's not good when you're paying your kicker like top 5 kicker money. Never good. So let's hope he finds his way out of it. But other than that, there wasn't many things to boo. So I had to choose him because he had an easy field goal and he missed it. Let's get to the style and profiling. Anthony, who do you got over the last 2 weeks of this season here?
So I'll go with the Tennessee game first. I'll give it to Will McDonald. Going in, getting 3 sacks. I mentioned him earlier. 2 sacks in the Patriots game as well, but he's had a monster last 5 days, or whatever, 5 days from Sunday to Thursday. And then for Thursday, there's no one else you can give it to. Aaron Rodgers just completely changed juju of that whole building with a great performance against Patriots, who, we all hate.
Yeah. Curtis, style and profiling. Anybody that shined in that game that you want to
Yeah, well, it's not too many. The only one I can really say is Achan. I mean, this guy is so electric. If he could stay healthy, get a little bit better at his pass blocking, a little bit better at his recognition of hole choices. With what he's a hard runner, good kid, tough as nails, and I mean electric speed. It's the only really bright spot that I can find over the first 2 weeks. Really, I mean. There's a little bit maybe against the Jags, but really on a consistent basis, Achan. You got to love the kid. Just hope he can, stay healthy. It's hard. He's a little bit small, but man, is he electric.
Yeah. I'm going to give it to my OC, Joe Brady. The guy said what he said in the offseason is true through 2 weeks. How he wants this offense to run. Everyone was concerned after we lost Diggs. But he's making it work, right? Allen doesn't have to play hero ball all the time, Superman, whatever you want to call it. He's mixing in the run a lot more compared to what Dable was doing, what Ken Dorsey was doing. He's taking all his players' strengths and using them on the field, right, on offense. Everybody's doing their part as well, and they believe in Joe Brady's way. So I got to give it up to him because he could have went into the season going, you know what, after maybe a couple drives, especially the first week, right? Things are going away right away. Oh, you know what? Let's just start chucking it downfield. And he stuck with the game plan, which
That's
is a balance.
big deal. Yes, he has. Yeah. Remember Shaky Dorsey? You've got the other. He showed me a ton against Arizona when he kept pounding the football.
Yeah.
Normally, if you go, Allen saved me. I have to give you credit on that.
Yeah.
He really showed a lot of.
Yeah, so you got it, and you got to give Allen credit too for buying into it. By the way, because Allen couldn't have. Allen could be like, nah, man, like this is not what I like to do. Allen's buying into it. The players are buying into it. Nobody is, hey, I want the ball this many times a game. So I got to give Joe Brady credit where credit is due. Through 2 weeks, the offense is looking very well balanced, and it's working. Not only is it balanced, it's working. We're putting up points, and we're controlling the clock.
I got a question for you, Tommy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who was the first person to dictate and script the offensive system that would be perfect for your team and Josh?
It was Curtis, but I'll counter that with you were correct, but at the time, I got to say, that offensive line wasn't built how you would to run the offense that way. I'm not saying it couldn't have been done, but I don't know if it would have been well executed. Meaning, if you look at our offensive line now compared to what it was when Allen was drafted, there's a lot of new pieces and good pieces, right, on this line. You got Spencer Brown, who a lot of people were dogging on, who finally got healthy, finally got to work with Cromer one-on-one during the offseason. And look at him. He got paid because Spencer Brown's really good. Deion Dawkins, really, really good. David Edwards is showing that he could be really good at left guard. And then you got Osiris Torrance, who you drafted. It's a way different offensive line that's more physical, that can run block better. You see the run blocking. It's night and day compared to when Devin Singletary was here, where defenders were in the backfield instantly. Now you see James Cook getting wide open holes. You saw it in the Dolphin game. I felt like Ray Davis could have easily got a touchdown on that drive there. So you got to give it up to the offensive line, but I get where you're going with that, and I agree with that in a way. But you have to also have the offensive line to make it work, to be a balanced team like that, or a run-heavy team or whatever. You have to have that offensive line to do it. And now we got it, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the results. By the way, Ken Dorsey in Cleveland, he's not doing terrible. I just want to throw that out there. Like, I think he's a smart guy. He just didn't have a lot to work with, and I felt like he was also young and immature and learning on the job.
He's not calling the game.
He's offensive coordinator. He's OC. He's OC in Cleveland. Yeah, they hired.
Doesn't he over there?
No, he's offensive coordinator. He's all OC.
I thought he wasn't calling the plays though.
Yeah, no. Why would they have the offensive coordinator not call? Either way, he's the offensive coordinator. Even if he's not calling play, he's the coordinator.
But I think that was his biggest problem was the play calling.
Yeah, well, either way, he's in charge as the offense in Cleveland. I'm just saying their offense isn't that bad, right? Now their quarterback is another story. So that's a whole nother story in Cleveland. And by the way, they're still missing their main running back who's set to return soon, and Chubb. Probably another 4 to 6 weeks out. So we'll see how that offense runs when Chubb gets back.
Oh man, really?
But anyways, back to the East. So
let's see. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
I think Stefanski is calling it.
Mm-hmm. He's the OC and Stefanski's calling it. Okay, well that's what
he's the game planner and the philosophical guy.
Okay,
and the organization.
I still think it. Like I said, man, I still think it's growing. It was growing pains with us a little bit of Stephon Diggs, a lot of little things that didn't go his way. But that's okay. I like Joe Brady. I like his idea of how to run an offense. So, anybody have what's up with that for this week? For last week's games? Anthony, Curtis, anything? What's up with that? Anything that kind of stuck out? You're like, what the hell happened there?
I could spend the whole show doing that for my team. So
I'll throw one out there, not jet related, but can someone please I mean, the referees calling these games and Chiefs games, it's getting out of hand. Like that pass interference late in the game was critical, moved Kansas City right in the field goal range. I feel like the Bengals have gotten screwed multiple times in similar situations. We saw in the playoff game that late hit out of bounds pushed Kansas City in the field goal range. I know it's the NFL, refs going to have control in these games, but man, it just seems like every single situation the Kansas City Chiefs seem to be finding. Whenever you play the Chiefs,
it's crazy.
And you're playing the refs.
Yeah, it's crazy. When it comes to the Chiefs, that's a whole. I was going to say, I think the refs so far, at least the games I've watched, they've made some mistakes, but I think this is the best 2 weeks that I've seen in a long time by the refs. I think they've made some mistakes here and there, but overall, I feel like they're letting the game play out a little bit more. Like they're not calling like these PIs all the time when players get a little bit handsy. Like I don't mind that. Hitting the quarterback late.
I want them to be balanced. It's like
I think it is. I think it's been
one team. It's
but I feel like it's been. I feel like it's been balanced. Now, maybe not for Chiefs games. I feel like it's a little weird with that. But I feel like if you go back to the Dolphins-Bills game, I didn't feel like there was anything out that was like a one-sided or the other. I felt like the play that was good. Same with the if you go back to week 1, and I was like, what the hell kind of penalty is that? When we had a roughing the passer on the slide, the guy never even hit him, right? But then Allen gets called. They called one on the defense of Arizona for hitting Allen's helmet, which was ridiculous. But other than that, it was evenly called game. So I feel like there's going to be mistakes. It's a human error. It is what it is. But I think they're doing a better job, at least in my point. What I see in my eyes. So let's move on to this week's games because Curtis is sick, and man, I know he wants to go lay down. So let's get to the Dolphins Seahawks. So going to Seattle. Curtis, talk to us, man.
Well, it's really, really interesting when you think about it because McDonald kind of set this defense as what it is, and so he's like the master. Then you got Weaver, who's had some experiences at DC, but he's kind of like the apprentice. Both of them have weaknesses by what they like to run on the inside run game, and Patriots kind of showed that a little bit towards Seattle. And so you got you got an offensive line that's kind of beat up. We've had problems with getting plays in. I think McDaniel burned 2 timeouts really like wastefully in the third corner, trying to rush things to get in there. And then you got Skyler in there who's taken over. I think if McDaniel and Skyler can get a win here, it's going to be amazing. And I think it will pull a lot of fat out of the fire. I just don't think they can. I think that, Dolphin fans want to say we're going to trade this and that. But the offensive line sets the foundation where they can block, how consistently they can block, whether it's in 5-man protects or they need, all this extra stuff to keep them. That sets the tone for everything. And so I just think it's going to be very, very difficult. Now, the one positive I have for the Dolphins is we have the most speed in the NFL. We're playing on a fast track. The Seahawks linebacking group's decimated. And they got some nicks all over that defense. And so there is a possibility that you can get a couple of big plays and get these explosive plays and whoa, maybe it's a long roll of the dice. I think it's good. I think Dolphins lose. If they can even make it a close game, I think that buys them a lot of energy going. If they can at least come, 3-2, you lose to the Bills and then you lose the Seahawks and you can beat the Titans and the Patriots and you go into your bye week, maybe you can set things up. They've got to win at least 2 of the next 3. I think this is the most difficult, although the next 2 won't be easy either. So,
what do you got? Score? What's your score?
Oh, score. I want to say 24-17, but I think it could be even as bad as 13-24.
Okay, Seattle. I'm guessing you're going with Seattle. Okay. Man, I don't know. This is a tough one for me because you still have the best or one of the best receiver in the NFL in Tyreek Hill, who is a playmaker anytime he has the ball in his hand. Doesn't matter. He doesn't necessarily need to go deep every play. You can give him a 5-yard slant, and he can literally take it to the house. So, and then you got Waddle, who's also electric. And you got A-Chain, who's also electric, who could take it to the house anytime if he gets gets that room and open field. So, Skylar, I don't know. He's not that bad. I've seen him play decent at times. When he came to Buffalo in the playoffs, he had a pretty good game. Dolphins took us to the wire in that game. So I think this game's going to be close. I don't see Seattle as this this tough team to beat. A play here and there, a turnover here and there can totally go into the Dolphins' favor. So I'm going to pick Seattle, but I could definitely see the Dolphins pulling this one out. If I'm the Dolphins and I'm not Mike McDaniel, I am throwing everything. I'm having Skylar throw everything short. I am working on with A-Chain more. I'm doing screens. I'm doing wide receiver screens to Hill. I'm letting the playmakers do the job in that game. You know what I mean? I'm not taking chances downfield like you would with Tua throwing deep to Hill. I'm just I'm playing the short game and the run game, and I'm letting my playmakers try to win the game on offense. As far as defense goes, with Seattle, man, Geno Smith's okay. I don't think I thought last year he fell off a little bit compared to his first year in Seattle. This year he had a good game last week. The first week, not so much. I think you get after him. He makes bad decisions at times if you put him under pressure. So I feel this game's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'll go Seattle, but I'm going to go 27-24 Seattle. But I could also see it going 27-24 Miami. That's how I see it. So Anthony.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as close as you're saying. I kind of with you on that. I mean, it depends on what Skylar Thompson we get. I mean, I think we've seen a lot more of the, below average Skylar Thompson than average or better. So I think that's going to be a problem. We've already mentioned earlier with the Seattle offense, they can apply pressure. Is this Dolphins defense going to be able to handle what will likely be a lot of time on the field if this Dolphins offense can't get the ball moving, can't control the chains, can't control the clock? I think all those factors, and the biggest factor obviously being the 12th man playing in Seattle, is Skylar Thompson going to be able to handle the noise that's going to come with being on the road in that building? I think it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 24-10. I think Curtis was right on it, 24-13, somewhere in there is kind of what I expect. But it's going to come down to coaching. Can Mike McDaniel operate a game plan that's a little different than what he's used to, low scoring as opposed to running a track meet? That's really the big test here.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about the real difference maker and Mike Holmgreen, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Just a joke. It's a joke because Curtis last week So we were doing our, doing our previews or whatever, talking about our prediction, and I said, I mentioned the old coach of the Seahawks, Pete Carroll. I'm like, and I thought he was still the coach. I'm like, the difference maker is gonna be Pete Carroll, and Zach's like, Tommy, Pete Carroll is no longer Seattle Seahawks. So I felt like such an idiot. I'm like, oh. So I had to throw that out this week. Yeah. So I think I'm going to do that every week. The real difference maker is John Madden in this game now. So, anyways. Oh, man. All right, let's get to the next one, man, which is the best game of the week. Monday Night Football. Jags and Bills. Let's start with you, Curtis.
Jacksonville is a tough team. Problem is the quarterback, Lawrence, there's one play. He could have beat us. I mean, Etienne fumbled in the end zone, but there was a 3rd and 5, and he had to throw an out, and Holland was blitzing from the side, and he rolled away and just threw a wide open receiver for the first down, which could have drove him down there. To me, I think Lawrence is a little skittish. I think the coach, Peterson, he went for like a 4th and 1. They just something like off with them. They got some good talent. I mean, there's some weakness to it. They can be a tough team, but there's just a choking hardwired into them. And I think it's going to be a win for you guys. I think it'll be a little bit closer. I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 7 point. 4 point. I think if they play their game, they can run the football. You'll run the football. The game will move fast. I mean, it's home field. They can carry. Lawrence is very conservative. I think when he played us, he was like the separation to throw the football was gigantic. So he's ultra conservative. I don't think there'll be too many turnovers unless Etienne fumbles. I think you win though.
What's your score?
24-20. Bills.
Anthony.
So this is a tricky one a little bit, only because I feel like Jacksonville has given the Bills a little bit of a fits the last few years when they've played them. At least giving you guys a hard time, even after their, Trevor's first year. But Trevor's just been too inconsistent since the middle of last year. I mean, it's so weird because in his second year, that back half of the season, he looked like he was turning that corner. And the beginning of the year last year, it looked like he was still on that track. And then just middle of the year, I don't know what happened. He just fell apart and just hasn't gotten back to it. Bills being at home, Bills Mafia is going to be going crazy. I think it's just going to be too much for the Jaguars. They do come in with a pretty good offense that can move the ball, but it just seems like every opportunity Trevor Lawrence really has to take over a game or keep control of the game, there's just something funky that happens there. So I'll get the Bills the win here. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be mostly low scoring. Probably I'll get a 20-14 Bills in this one.
All right. So the Jags have played really well against the Buffalo Bills over the last 2 times they met. But we are a different offense, way different offense than that they've seen that they're going to see on Monday night. That's 1. 2. Trevor Lawrence, 51 completion percentage is terrible. Like that is really bad. That's great for us. So I do not like. He's a good quarterback. So I have no idea what's going on through 2 weeks with him. But 51% is unacceptable. Especially for a guy who just got paid. Yeah, and it's not like he doesn't have weapons. He has good receivers. So I don't get it. I don't know what's going on, and I hope it continues, at least when he plays against us. The one guy I would say the X factor for them that's always been a thorn on our side is Josh Hines Allen. That he goes by now. He goes by Josh Hines Allen now. He's a hell of a player. Joshua Hines Allen. Yeah,
change that thing up as much as possible.
Yeah, he is a really good player, man. And he for some reason he always steps up his game when he plays against the Buffalo Bills. So we got to contain him. I guess the one guy that I would definitely, if I am the offensive line coach, you need to worry about him make sure you contain them the best you can. But I don't think this is going to be close. The Buffalo Bills have been scoring 30 points over the last 2 weeks. I think that continues. I'm going to say 34-13. I don't think it's close. I think the Buffalo. Yeah, I don't.
Tommy goes full Buffalo.
Yeah.
Bills,
Listen, I don't think the Jags are that good right now. The completion percentage is bad. Like, they're not playing that great of football. I will say Brian Thomas Jr. though looks really, really good early on in his rookie year. I'll give them that. They still got Gabe. He has his games. So I'll give them that, and they have a decent defense, like I said, with Allen. But I just feel like they're going to see a different look Buffalo Bills offense that they haven't seen, obviously, before, because they're used to what we were doing before. So I think that is a big difference. Also, our defense has just been playing, let's be real, at a really high level, even missing players. And I don't see why that wouldn't continue in this game. That's why I have the score being so far out. Now, I will say this, though. My God, we're talking about scheduling. The Buffalo Bills, man, the NFL, weird scheduling. I know every team, everyone says, oh, we have a really brutal schedule. But after this game, I mean, we're on the road 3 straight times, so we need to win this game, which I believe we will. But we got at Baltimore, at Houston, at New Jersey Jets, and then we play home against Tennessee, at Seattle, home against Miami, at Colts, at KC, home against San Francisco. I mean, these are just tough, brutal matchups. So NFL did us no favors with the schedule. But that's why when you're a good team, you have tough schedules. So it is what it is, but you need to win. You need to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And Jacksonville is a team that the Buffalo Bills should beat, and I believe they will beat and to move them to 3-0. So that's how I have it. And we'll see how the game goes on Monday night. By the way, there's 2 Monday night games, guys. So
that's weird. Why did they do that?
They did it. I think they did that in the past before. They have had this before. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I think it's dude, it should be one game on prime time. But NFL, any way to make money, any way they can make more and more money, that's what they do. I told you guys. I told everybody. Watch. I promise you, the NFL in time. Is going to make it mandatory for every team to do a Hard Knocks at some point moving forward. I really feel that way because this is more money generated, more eyes on the NFL, and it just sucks because I don't want my team doing it, but I have a feeling just like the teams going overseas to play, it's mandatory. You have no other option. They're going to make that a mandatory thing. You're going to see that a mandatory thing. The NFL is trying to just grow and get more and more money. So, but I'm going off topic. So anyways, any last words by any of you guys before we move on? Any rants, anything like that? Curtis, Anthony?
I got Curtis, nothing. Until my team wins, I can't say nothing.
All right, man. So, hey, this was an awesome time. Had a great time. I know Curtis was under the weather. Yeah, normally Curtis would have been hosting today, but I helped him out. I'm a good guy. So,
anyways, that double shot of Geritol, man. That was my mistake this morning.
I know. So, guys, real quick, everyone that's watching, next week, same time, AFC Shakedown at 4 p.m. It's going to be on Anthony's channel. Anthony, where can they find us so everyone can go to your channel next week? And by the way, subscribe to his channel. Y'all need to be subscribing to everyone's channel here that does this show to support the channel. So support, obviously, Curtis, Ace Per Head, support Mafia Sports Report, and Anthony, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share the link for sure, but you can find me on YouTube, Jets Life Podcast. Got plenty of videos up there. But yeah, I'm currently streaming on YouTube. Eventually going to roll out streaming on X as well. Just get a little more, publicity out there a little bit more. But right now, currently streaming on YouTube under the Jets Life Podcast.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So next weekend, Saturday, 4 p.m., the Jets Life Podcast. That's where you can find AFC Shakedown. Everyone will return except for Zach. We're hoping to have Ben on. Capn D might be on as well with Curtis. So until next time, we're out of here. Thank you so much. Go Bills. Peace.
Dolphins, I'm in control.